Mhm. Well, hello, everyone. It says that it is live. How are you doing? So good to see you. Welcome on Monday um, to both the supporters and the non-supporters, I guess the haters. I don't know. When I was just busy doing something, I looked and I said, two thumbs down. Didn't even say a word. We're talking about healing and helping people. And well, I hope they leave, anyway. So how are you doing, folks? Kind of I don't know, um, odd energy today is the best thing that I can see. I have a sense that the masks are going to come off. Those who are the deceivers that have put on a false facade, they will be shown. There is something going on, folks. The energies, the whatever you want to say it is, I think the day of playing hide and seek is coming to an end. And I think there is a separation. So, welcome everyone and all the community and the family. I'm sure many of you have heard by now that our good friend Patrick, his wife Angie, um, was taken to the hospital. And as I understand it, I believe that they found two lesions on her brain. So, very serious situation going on there with Patrick. And Patrick has taken a sabbatical, obviously, to focus in on that which is most important to him, and that's his wife, the love of his life. Two shall become one, and it's part of that process. And you know, I've in my walk, I don't talk much about when I was in the ministry. Others can do that. That wasn't necessary. What I do know is that healing does and can happen. Um, there's power in numbers. And the other thing, many people who are not experienced in this area of understanding healing, and you have to understand healing. It's not something you can merely go and say abracadabra, or I'm sending. It's a little bit more intense than that. Uh, knowledge. And of all the healing crusades that I've been a part of, I've seen many miracles. You know, I've seen the power of healing. What I know today is that we humans, it's part of our ability. We're energy beings. We forget that. You and I generate um, about, I think, if my numbers are correct, about 8.5 watts of energy, maybe more. I have to check that out. I'm not sure of that number. But anyway, we know from the programs I've done here that shown you how down to the neuron that there are electric magnetic fields that surround each thought. Remarkable. And one of the things I know about healing is that you have to know the intent of the recipient. In my life, I have met those who said, I've had enough. I'm going. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for everything else. But there are others that sometimes you'll never know. I mean, sometimes they don't have the ability to speak. And so you almost take like a power of attorney over situations like that. So I've been thinking about what can we do for Patrick and Angie, and I intend to write Patrick and see, finding out what Angie's, where she is, where she's at. What does she want? What is her desire? And I think once we learn that, we can all come together in an hour program and align our energies with her desire. And that's when the results happen, folks. Um, there are some that don't believe in healing, don't think it's possible, but they'll believe in a doctor and get him a pill. Well, it's the same thing. You know, they've done enough studies on placebos to show that 60% of the healing process is here. Not the pill you take, not the elixir you drink. It's here. Now, it's not to say that those things don't add to it. They do. And thank you, Jason. Uh, so we're going to do that. I feel very close to Patrick. I have never met Angie, but you can't help but not get a sense of who she is and her energy, excuse me, by the soul that she's united with in Patrick. Patrick is he's just a very lovable guy. He is, you know, and so we won't be doing talking with the planets. We'll go on a little hiatus on that. And we're going to continue the show though. Um, so, I'll work with Patrick and we'll find another energy source that can aid us in that, because I think we're on a grand discovery there. But there's enough people in this group right here, this community, us alone. There's nearly 200 of us watching. Do you know what you can do with 200 people? And you don't need a room. I mean, if they're connected in a medium, and we are, this is a medium, and we can apply. I know there's healers in this group. There are psychic healers in here. I know of one who knew of a situation that I was experiencing and nailed it down to a T. Now, I haven't been watching the chat room, so we'll get there. I'm just reading this. Yeah, well, I think that we'll work on this. I really want to really, I know we're coming up on the new moon. I will be doing the favor cleansing ritual. And I think that if we all could come together and take the first step of performing the favor ritual, and we'll put Angie and Patrick in the center of the circle, and that alone will definitely clear all the the so-called obstacles on the pathway of sending her what she needs, and we'll find out what her desire is. And I think coming about that in this direction, then I think we can really do some good. Hey, Richard, how are you doing? So, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do this for our friends. Um, you know, the love for both of that couple is overwhelming. It's tangible. And we hurt. Patrick hurts. Angie's having no fun time. And that's what our species does. We hurt, we cry, we question why. But the intent of the spirit energy that we have is to always to do good, to heal those around us. There's another young boy of 10 years old that I'm going to include on that. So we do this by small steps. We do this by the knowledge of what we have. Now, if you happen to have other ways that you send healing, well, then this is your opportunity to exercise that gift for sure. So, invoking disfavor upon all of us today. You know, I do that for a reason because when you begin to hear something repetitive, it becomes a part of your thinking. It actually lays down a synaptic pathway in your brain, a neurosynaptic pathway for a habit. Isn't that interesting? And so we understand what favor does. We understand restoration, and restoration is for healing too. And so I speak that into all of our lives, nothing missing, nothing broken. And we just send the warmth of love to Patrick and Angie right now. Um, you know, it's it's hard, it is. And you see, that's why I don't retaliate when I'm attacked or what have you. We can't do that anymore. We can't allow that energy to interflow and cut off the source. Speaking of source, I got another letter from source. So let's keep them constantly. I was thinking as well, maybe something that we could do is, at 1 o'clock and 11 minutes, 11 o'clock and 11 minutes. If you happen to be aware and you see that number, I see it all the time, um, then I'm just going to attach Patrick and Angie to that. And so let's pass that around and let's send them the love. They need strength. They need encouragement. They're facing some challenges. And many of us are facing challenges. I read your emails. I got caught up in a lot of the emails. If I missed you, and it's so far buried, I don't think it's going to be found. But a lot of pain. I think we're going through, I just sense that there is something going on. I mean, we hear that so redundantly, right? Oh, there's something going on. Yeah, but wow, there is something really going on. It's like you cannot depend on what was before because it never comes out the right way. It's turning out differently. Um, and hear me out on this. Um, so the graphic, as you saw, representation of the modern day of Tower of Babel. And as the caption said, that humanity has overcome the first thing. Now, I want y'all to think about this. Think about the myth, the story. We know that there was a tower. We archaeology has found that. We know that there was. Now, as to the other events, no one was there. And we have a limited point of view on how the story is told. But if we take the story, then apparently these aliens came down. Now, in the book of Genesis, it says gods. Because remember, it said, let us go down. Okay. That clearly indicates a whole lot right there. But anyway, and so let's see what man is doing. Let us. So we know it was, according to the story, the Elohim, they get in their spaceship and they come down here. Maybe they beam down here. I don't know. They seem to like their ships, though. I do know that. And because it's their power source. So they see this skyscraper going up. Back in the day, there was a guy who was the former organ player for Santana, Leon Patello. He put out a great album, put out one album called I Want to Build, um, what was it? I want to build a tower to the sky, I think. And anyway, it's a great, great melody. And I began to think about this. Okay, so man was united. Now, obviously, it wasn't all of man. I mean, we know that there were people in China. We know that there were people in Mesoamerica. But in this case, we're looking in Mesopotamia. And there apparently was one common tongue, a language. And when you have no miscommunication, ambiguity doesn't tend to exist. So here you have mankind represented as a group, united. They're getting smarter. Now, that's the part of the story we don't pick up. Because if you take it from patient zero, or let's say in this case, first couple, going forward, that intelligence would have been transferred. It would have been replicated by the cranium, the brain structure, how the neurons are connected to the synaptic pathways within the early human beings of our sapien ancestry. So we're intelligence. You know, it always amazed me about Cain. Where did he learn to build cities? Ariel says that their representation of the cities are a distant memory of what the empire, how their world looked like. So Cain came with this phenomenal knowledge of how to build cities, infrastructure, the whole bit. So following me on this. So here we are, and we're just chugging along, right? Now they already attacked us, tried to wipe us out, is what they did. That's what the whole deluge story is. That isn't about sin. That's about them running scared, man. They said, "Oh no!" So we're building this edifice, going higher and higher and higher. So they come down and they said, "Well, we can't have this. You know, if these people keep on unifying," and I quote it verbatim, "there's nothing that they cannot do." All right, that's substantial, I would say. Nothing that we cannot do if two things. Number one, we understand each other clearly. And number two, we're united. Well, I don't know if you realize this, but when the internet came into physical manifestation, we actually got back what these gods took away from us: the ability to talk amongst one another. Right now, my voice is being translated into Portuguese, Spanish, other dialects, but it's still a communication. It's amazing what the internet has actually done. So I contend that we have actually been able to get back. Now, can I go out and speak Portuguese? Well, I could probably study it, but it's not really necessary. Why? I have the aid of a machine. And so I've been thinking about this. And it dawned on me last night when I was writing. And I stopped and I thought, and I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Time out here, Steiger. So we've been attacked as a species by aliens. We call them gods, God. We don't like that. We don't know why, but they have. They're merciless. I don't have any compassion, obviously. And then it dawned on me, well, now, wait a minute. We haven't broken the code yet, but what I'm about to show you is going to become a game changer. Because I contend, ladies and gentlemen, we've done something that, if these gods in fact exist, still do, I think we might be, instead of and I'm just going to say this, instead of receiving a Messiah, it may be a genocidal attack. And what a wipeout. It very well could be in all possibilities. And that's what free thinking does. You've got to consider all points of view. If you only like your point of view, you know what I tell you, you're going in circles. That's all you'll ever do. If you only tend to your point of view and that which you like, you're unbalanced. But no one talks about, what if we're being set up again? What if they're going to attack us again? We have failed as a species. You look out in the world today, we get an F minus as far as our cognitive ability to live in peace with one another. The whole matrix is set up to be a survival game, one that enslaves us. And we spend our measly 70, 80, maybe some might reach 90 or 100, and you're gone, spent. They sucked you dry, baby. But there's more of us, and what I'm about to show you right here suggests that we could be needing to look at this in a whole different light. So here is, this is when I saw this, I went, did anyone really shocked by this? Is anyone really surprised? The end of school, AI, Google Brain implants to replace education and supercharge IQ. It's already, listen, if you're getting press releases, they're already past alpha testing. They're most likely going to proceed into beta. So this guy's name's Nicholas Karanos, and he's saying that he believes artificial intelligence will improve people's lives on a mass scale and dramatically transform the way we learn. The CEO and founder of Foundtech exclusively told the Daily Star Online he is working on a revolutionary AI to personalize education. So you'll literally get a chip put into your brain. Now think about this, folks. How are they doing this? Well, they're going to have to stimulate and activate the neuron cells in a manner that our genetic code has been preventing us from accomplishing. I keep saying this. We should be, as a species, at an IQ of 2,700, and if you do the math, I think it's 18. Instead of digressing, 100 years ago, our IQ was 20 basis points higher. We are doing this, folks, but we have some brilliant minds out there that have said, guess what? I can change that. We can now advance transhumanism at a pace that now this will make superhumans. And folks, if they can increase the IQ, immortality is right around the corner. And if I figured this out, and if something does exist above our heads that is of greater intelligence of ours, that has been known to come and massacre us in huge numbers, what makes you think they won't do it again? We're not improving this world. We're not improving our species. More people are hungry. More people are homeless. More people are without insurance. More people are without medical care, in spite of what the politicians keep on saying that they're going to give us. Yesterday, I witnessed something that really brings this to home. It was in the grocery store. And standing in line, And the line that I was on, the cashier, I think it was two people ahead. Yeah. Here was a family. Now, where I live, you don't think about hunger, at least not in the sense of the way that it's hidden. And what I saw was a family who couldn't afford, they didn't have enough money. And I can't take seeing people put food back when you got children. So it was taken care of. What I'm trying to point out to all of us here, we keep on living in this thought, a better day, a happier day, a more glorious day. World is in such a bad position that we can't seem to unite on anything. Got too many things that divide us, too many prejudices, too many biases. And it hit me, Wayne, what if humanity is being set up again? This experiment is not working. This experiment has gone awry, and we are an experiment. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. Now, let's continue. I saw this story. The rise of robot authors. It's already here. We're reading something that never came from us. We have a machine that now has cognitive thought enough to begin to write novels and fictions. You don't find that a tad bit alarming? I mean, we're just like cattle at the slaughterhouse. I talked about this when it first broke. 50 qubit quantum computer. It now outthinks man. So we put a chip that's connected to something like this. Now, I don't know what kind of intelligence that will do for us. I'm sure it's going to boost us. The question is, what does it do for us? And then this one. Robots enable bees and fish to talk to each other. So now AI has exceeded us because AI is now able to bring different species and form a language where they can communicate with one another. We're living in a world that, you've got to ask yourself, well, what does this mean? And excuse me, as I get back to this, it's here. I know a lot of people don't like hearing it, but I think that we may be walking with sunshine with sunglasses on, because I think that it is, in fact, a potential possibility. We're going to pick up with Ariel here in a second, but I look at this and she's telling the same story. I have finished a couple of great books that they're somewhat on the same line, but far different take. Been reading some most interesting stories of what they're discovering in the archaeological world. Things are changing. And yet it seems like confusion just is all around. Why? I keep asking myself this, is that could it be very well that what happened to us, and if you think about it, if you look at the book that everyone refers to, it's a great synopsis, but it certainly isn't the true story. But anyway, it gives us enough indication. we have the written record in there that it's been done to us at least twice, maybe more. Could it be that what happened to them is in fact going to happen to us? That in literally 100 years from now, they could potentially never have any evidence of us here? I don't know. It seems like something is going on. So squirrels are just nuts. I love that. So I'm just going to look over here. I'm just reading some comments. So, yeah, I happen to think that there's strong validation to that. I think we're literally, it may have already been discovered, but I think that they now have the ability to extend life. I think we have figured it out. And if this ever becomes known, widespread, we got a problem because it's going to be offered at the highest price. So now you have those who can afford the price that it's going to extend their life 3, 4, 5, 600 years. What happens then? You know, I'll just be candid with you. I don't think we're ready for that. And if we have it, I don't know what that world will look like. Jeff and I were talking yesterday on our show, Not Your Normal Sunday Morning, that my contention is we're already maybe past the threshold of no return. Transhumanism is advancing at rates that most people don't want to acknowledge. And maybe people that we think are dead, maybe they're not dead at all. Maybe they have gone underground. Maybe they have going to a special place that can't be saw by the satellites, a place that only the very, very wealthy can go to, as the rest of us, do our best in what lot of time we're given. Serious subject, I know, but I haven't seen anything, and I worked pretty late into night searching for people who have the same thought. I haven't found anyone. Why is it that we won't contend that what this God or gods did to us in the past is going to do to us again? Listen, I don't know if you take the deluge story at face value, and it said that the whole world was wicked. I don't know how much more wicked one can get than this society, this matrix that we're in. What is it? We have pleasures that are beyond imagination and perversities that go beyond comprehension. That's humanity. So if we start getting smarter, we start living longer. They did it before. Why wouldn't they? Would you say today that man, if you take man today in 2019, and let's compare man in the year 19, who is more brutal? In the year 19 or in the year 2019? Who's more educated? 19, 2019. Who has higher cognitive recognition? The man of the year 19 or the man of 2019? Let's start drawing your conclusions from there. Um, so I look at this and I begin to ask myself, well, okay, where does this lead us to? I think we've talked enough about, things like 5G. I think the evidence would be there, and it's not just a conspiracy theory or a far fringe idea, but I don't think, you know, frying our brains with Wi-Fi is advancing us. Um, we counted yesterday, I think we counted 8 people driving and texting. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I look around this and I'm going, all right, if the common person on the street can't seem to keep their attention for more than, you know, 10 seconds, what happens? I hope that the people that are doing the nuclear facilities and, the critical infrastructure, that they're not on their cell phones too. I don't think that that would be a good idea. And sitting here just thinking, well, it's sad, but how many of you remember the train that derailed in, I think it was in Oregon 2 years ago? Person was on their cell phone. The derailment in Philadelphia, person was on their cell phone. I'm glad they don't allow cell phones in the cockpit of the airplanes. I hope not. Um, let's see. Texting and eating a sandwich to driving, not the same. Is texting and eating. Well, I'll tell you, I was a road warrior for many years. Uh, that's how I came up through the ranks in marketing and sales. And I would say that eating and driving, I mean, it's not the ideal situation, but it's not anything compared to texting. I can reach into a bag and grab a burger without taking my eyes off the road. But even then, I don't know. We are a distracted species. Remember what we read in Phoenix Rising. No Eyes told us that the day is here and that more accidents will be happening. More tragedies will be happening because she said people will lose their ability to stay focused. I think we're seeing that. So again, talking point. If you are a god or gods and you've already wiped out this species several times, how are we so much better? How are we so much more advanced? How are we so much more kinder? How are we so much more compassionate? I don't think so. I don't know. I guess, I was thinking about in the year 19. And well, people don't realize this, but there was a lot of industry in the year 19. Advancements were being made. We don't look at them in the same light we do today, but there was tremendous progress. It's one of those things that has always mystified me. In the most prolific era of the century of writing, brilliant minds were about, yet we have very few surviving pieces of their writing. What happened? It was like someone came in and wiped that away. And so I'm thinking, well, what would an average person do in the year 19? Well, if you lived in a city, you would most likely have a craft. If you lived out in the country, you were most likely raising livestock to farming. Most people grew their own food. However, cities back then did have plumbing, and they did have uh, bazaars and markets where trade was. Trade was international at that point. People say, what do you mean by international? Well, listen, the trade routes from China through India to Rome and eventually on into Europe, commerce sprung up all along there. Entrepreneurs. If you read history, you'll find out the trade routes were routes where people would set up restaurants. They would have what we would consider bed and breakfasts, although not near in the sophistication of the level. But so I was thinking, would a person in the year 19 be more free than we are in the year 2019? I think we are. I think we are much less freer. I think the person in the year 19 was a lot, and listen, depending on where you were at, you were either under Roman occupation, the Chinese emperors, or into more of the nomadics and the tribal customs of Europe, etc. But still, you had privacy. You didn't have Google everywhere. Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, I know we don't, maybe I just overthink these things. I don't think so. And I keep questioning the fact, well, okay, where's this all heading? I came out of the technology industry, and one of the things that I saw in there was, and this was years ago, 2010, etc. That's years ago, that things were changing. There was an agenda that was changing. I don't know how many of you remember this, but President Obama launched a major initiative on the brain. The federal government funded this into the tens of billions of dollars. And the brain initiative was to map out the cognitive ability of the brain, to be able to see how the brain functions, how it functions under certain conditions, can the brain in fact be controlled, etc. And there was a great fanfare and pomp about it, and then it disappeared. And it still disappeared. Now, where are we heading for? I keep asking myself this. I don't know. So, history is a lie agreed upon. Isn't that the truth? You know, one of the things, I'll just digress here. One of the things that when I studied, particularly Roman history, it was one that I had to get some answers on this whole Jesus thing. I mean, I was brought up under an illusion of a false history that never took place. And I believed it. My wife and I have sent many people to Israel so they could get to know Jesus and understand, walk where Jesus walked. And so when I found out that it was an illusion, it's a very clever trick that's been around for thousands of years, how you trick people. And that is that you write a story in a time using real places, real people, but you manipulate the story with your characters and immerse them into the theme, and it becomes almost impossible to know which is the addition and which is not. So here's one thing I found very fascinating. So allow me just to, and I think you will as well. Why did Rome find Judea so valuable? If you read the Maccabees, you read Josephus's The Jew Wars, if you read Alexander's generals on what they did, and that critical period that most people don't focus in on, about the year 300 BC to the first century. Well, I'll tell you why they found Judea so attractive, and it was because of Herod. Herod and his wife, Beatrice, um, brilliant people. They mandated by decree that all children in his kingdom had to go to school from the age of 4 to the age of 17. In fact, it was well known that Herod's kingdom had the most literate, educated constituents around. That's why Jerusalem became such a center of culture. That's why it was back then, it was divided up into different sectors. You had the Greek sector, the Egyptians. I mean, yeah, I never realized that. You have an educated populace, they're going to be healthier, they're going to have better living conditions, the standard of living will go up. Anyway, okay, I think I've had enough. I could sit here for a lot longer, but not going to. I have to tell you, I've really been moved with Patrick. And so it's one I'm just going to, got to go and think some more on this. You know, I hate to see that. And I hate to see it with there's others of you as well, I know, that are really hurting. So let's have a group healing. Let's, if any of you want to come on, let's have a group panel. And yet we have no real info on Jesus. Yeah, well, the letter J didn't exist. I always challenge people. So I did this one video called Two Creations, Two Worlds. Oh man, go back and read some of the comments. Boy, you know, when you start popping the old sacred balloons, you know, some people don't take too kindly to that. And so the reason why I did that, because I wanted to point out that, again, it's all the same thing, folks. They've done it to us before. And I don't know, are we going to wake up one morning and see, you know, the sky filled with, you know, ships in the sky? I don't know. Is there really going to be a remnant through the Exodus? I don't know. Are we really advancing? Is, in fact, are we immersed right now? And I'm talking about space. Are we in a region of space? Are we being inundated with a different type of energy? Now, I contend that if you read that we're moving and hurtling through space, in fact, they just found one star, a sun, that's moving out of its the galaxy at, I think, 2.5 million miles per hour. So is that what's happening here? Or is it this neural net that we call 5G? Is that suppressing us? Are we being suppressed? And those of us who seem to be immune to this, is it just heightening those senses that we know already are already being heightened? I don't know. Anyway, it's the thoughts. Well, at least it's what I think. Okay, folks. Well, we'll get this done tomorrow. I will be doing a program, but won't be talking to the planets. I'd like to get something for Patrick and Angie. So if any of you got some ideas, email me and we'll put them into action. Okay. All right, folks, going to end this one early. Thank you all. Again, just speaking great favor into your life. Thank you for your time, some of you liked it, some of you didn't. You know, I don't think I've ever put a thumbs down on something. I just don't think that that's right. It's by the way, It's one of the biggest psychology things, and I have to fight it too. It's a worm, folks. It's a worm. And if we begin to look at that a little bit more, they're doing it to us. We are the proverbial rat in the maze. And as I often say, as the rat said, forget the cheese, just get me out of here. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Energy was weird today. Just weird. I can't get a balance onto it. So, Mercury's not in retrograde, is it? Does anyone know that? I don't know. But it's weird. I can certainly sense it. Thank you, Lisa Marie. We are getting the rat poison, Robin. That's oh, y'all are the best, man. I got to tell you, you cheer my heart up. And Patrick, if you're listening, we send you love, my friend. You are much loved. Angie is too. You've got a lot of people here. I know they're telling you on your page, but I'm just sending it out here for everyone. You are much loved. We want you back. And your energy is a vital component to the exploration of where we're going. So we're going to help as much as we can and do the best we can. So, folks, we're going to do this. And I think a lot of other people need healing. So I believe that. Believe we can do it. All right. Much love to you. Namaste to you. Be good to yourself. Love yourself. Love the ones around you, folks. You never know. And learn to love yourself. Can I just share one thing before I go? The source was talking to me and has really been dealing with me really deep. See, I grew up where, it wasn't a good situation. And the fear factor was everywhere. And the degrading. There's a proverb that says, don't break a child's spirit. You break a child's spirit, you've damaged that spirit. So the thing I've had to learn about loving myself was to stop judging myself. Now, judging and learning by your mistakes are two different things. When you take on the role as an accuser of yourself, you are your own Satan, Satan. You are your own accuser. And there's no defense you could ever put up when you are your own accuser. And I think that's what so often happens to so many of us. We've got to stop that. None of us are perfect. We will and shall make mistakes. That's how we learn. And it continues beyond this life, this temporal plane. But you don't want to pass over to the other side with you being your own accuser. Hear me on this. And you must learn to discipline yourself now. So someone needed to hear that. It'll free you. It'll liberate you. It will bring a higher vibration to you. And that's not a bad thing. So, Susan, you're absolutely right. I'm going to be doing a show on the amount of cosmic ray damages. Andy, thank you. Let's move forward. And folks, Starseed, I am so guilty of judging myself. I always feel down about myself. That is so true, my dear. That is so true. One of the things I do is for the youth is that we got to reverse that. so much of the youth today look down upon themselves, and they have a lot more pressure even than what I did growing up. So, um, yeah, we can change that. Maybe one life at a time, right? So learn not to be your own Satan. Quit doing that, because all that Satan, all that it means accuser. So think about it. If there is an accuser out there, get ready to kick his teeth in. Tell him how wrong he is. But don't you be your own accuser. Who are you going to hire yourself for? Your defense lawyer? Yourself? I'm sorry, I just saw that picture. All right, folks, thank you. It's been a weird one, and we'll just move on. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to have to think about that one. All right, folks, thank you so very much. We'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.